It's Nutrisys.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 5, Episode 3, DJI Mavic 3 Serious Issues. I hope everyone is doing well tonight. Today is what? January the 18th, 2022. All right, got a lot to talk about tonight. One of the things I do want to talk about is the Mavic 3. We're going to hang on for that. Got a number of things. I want to welcome everybody that's here so far. Stephen Ewing, Johnny Drone Flyer, Drone Guy, Leonard Oglesby, Drone Master, and Jay Birder in the house. Welcome to all of you. And Stephen Ewing, thank you. Of course, we know that it really, truly is an effort to tune in and to stay up to watch us. And we greatly appreciate that here. And we thank you very much. And I personally thank you very much. All right. First thing I want to lead in with is this. And I just want to spend a minute on this here, and I'm going to share this picture here with you. If you can we can hang on a second here. As many of you know, if you're friends with me on Facebook, and also, I talked about this last week. Valerie's dad's in intensive care, and he's not doing real well. In fact, they're getting ready to make a decision to call hospice. So, Valerie and I and the family would greatly appreciate your prayers. My father-in-law is a tremendous guy. Since my dad has passed away, he's been like a dad to me. Can't tell you how much I love him. He's just a great guy. And it's all so hard going through this again. I went through it with both my parents, and now I'm having to go through it again. And it's never an easy thing to do this. So, thank you for those of you that have mentioned us and kept us in your thoughts and prayers. Appreciate those still to come. So just wanted to get that started off with here. All right. It never fails. And, our good friends at Hey Kestelou found this, and I wanted to go over this. Now, I know a number of you out there are football fanatics like me, okay? And we won't talk about the Steelers, okay? I got a whole mouthful of things to say about that. None of them are good, and none of them are good about their good for nothing. Anyway, I'm not even going to go there. Okay, all right. Greg Pittman, welcome. Glad to see you back. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Okay, let's get this article up here. Okay. Now, this article is on Drone XL, and we all know it was Wildcard Weekend, and there were a number of games during Wildcard Weekend. Well, it just so happens that during Wildcard Weekend, somebody decided to fly a drone by one of the Wildcard games. That's right. This happened in Cincinnati, Ohio, okay? I've been by the stadium. I have never been inside the stadium. But there is a link in this article. And again, all these articles, as you know, I attach them to they are located in Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group and page. And there is a link for a video. This gentleman decided to put the link. This video is still out on YouTube. It was out as of the time I checked it this afternoon. So it was a short clip, but he flew all around stadium from above, of course. Got lots of views, and yeah, I mean, and Hey Kestelou, he points out, obviously, all the rules that this guy possibly has broken. And he left his comments on his video, and boy, he got raked over the coals, which was very deserving. And, And I'll say this again, okay? And I know you guys know I've been on my soapbox about this, okay, before. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again, all right? This kind of stuff's got to stop, all right? And they need to make an example of this guy. As you know, the Bengals prohibit flying there. The NFL prohibits flying there. The FAA prohibits flying there. There's a TFR there, okay? So, right off the bat, they need to throw the book at this guy, whoever it is. and he's out there bragging about flying in his comments. Why YouTube hasn't taken the video down, I don't know, because they're posting something that's illegal out there. So no, I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. That is an absolute good question. Had to be a non-DJI drone though because of the NFC. You could be right there, Jaybird, or somebody could have, cracked the software and broken the software, and it could have been an older DJI drone, maybe on Lychee or something. Who knows? But anyway, it gives every one of us who go out there and follow the rules a bad name. So, and those of you, we have remote ID, and it's good that we have remote ID, but we're probably going to get more rules and regulations because of idiots like this. And and I'm going to get on my soapbox here for just a little longer. I bounce people out of you guys know I got a bunch of groups out there. DJI, Autel, Hubson, Fimi. Okay, for the most part, the Hubson and the Fimi groups. I mean, a lot of those are overseas, so you can't really. I'm not. But somebody here in the United States, these groups, they just flat out they're breaking the rules. And I stayed in the rules in the groups that you have to follow the FAA rules. Okay, it's no gray area here. So, and people get their 90s in a knot with me and the other admins. Why are you doing this for? Da 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 da. You know what? Take it up with the FAA. If you got a problem with it, I'm just following their guidelines here, guys. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. Maybe in Autel, no geofencing. That's possible too, Jaybird. Possibly is. All right. Well, enough about that. We're going to move on here. Now, one of the other things that I found out, and this was interesting. Now, this was on DroneDJ. Well. The Mini SE is finally available over in the UK and Europe. So, Stephen Ewing, you're welcome to go ahead and get yourself a Mini SE right now. Don't know what the price is going to be. It'd be real interesting to see how much it's going to be over there. Okay, 269 over there. So okay, well, I guess that's a good price. I'm trying to translate that into dollars. I'm not exactly sure, but those of you over in the UK and Europe, the Mini SE is available now. So that is some news, and it is a big deal. It is a big deal because the rules over in the UK or over in Europe are a lot more strict than they are here in the United States. And being 249 grams or under is so beneficial to a lot of people, and it eases it makes them be able to fly in a lot of areas they wouldn't be able to fly in. So that's why this is important. We'll look forward to hearing if any of you who any of my international viewers, either over in the UK or Europe, get one of these, feel free to drop me a line. Let me know what you think about it. And if you shoot some footage, I will go ahead, with your permission, put it out to YouTube, and I'll feature it on the channel. So how about that? All right. Let's see what else we got. Oh, yes. Okay. Drone XL and DroneDJ put out some great information. Also, Sally French too. Now, if you look at my timeline on Build a Drone Reviewer Facebook group and page, I post a lot of Sally's articles because she does some great work here, guys. And I highly encourage you, if you're not following her, to follow her. And if not, they'll be out on my page. Please do go look at her articles. She puts a lot of effort and work into it, and I think she would really appreciate it. Especially drop her a line, let her know. All right, this just absolutely is well. Okay, everybody's talking. It's 2022, all right, and everybody's talking about what are we going to see this year, drone wise, all right. Well, DroneDJ just put out an article, DJI Mini 3, FPV Mini, Phantom 5, Autel Nano, Skydio, new drones of 2022. All right. Well, I think we all know now, the Mini's a given. Let's just drop down in the article a little bit. Refresh the DJI's cheapest and smallest consumer drone. Wouldn't be surprised. The success of Mini series has caused companies like Autel to join in the competition with the Nano. Be interested to see what smart features DJI can add to compete with Autel. Obstacle avoidance, quick shots, anything would be nice to have. And of course, we wonder who this Mr. Autel and his concepts. Okay, sometimes I'm not going to say anything. All right, but this is just a concept from Autel, and we'll take that for what it's worth. Now, he's also talking about here in the article, there's still debate if this is an actual product or a rumor of FPV support coming to the Mini 3. It would be wise DJI to take the success of its FPV drone and put it in a smaller package, maybe even make it less than 250 grams. I doubt it, but who knows at this point. Okay, so that's just a clear conjecture and a rumor. Inspire 3 and Phantom 5. Ah, yes, DJI's professional drones, where you can choose between the immensely capable Inspire or the iconic Phantom lines. Both are in need of an upgrade, camera systems, battery life, efficiency, etc. Maybe in a combination of the two, bringing the camera system and modularity of the Inspire with the Phantom's flight reliability and form factor. Okay, so who knows? Okay, and it's just conjecture at this point about the Phantom 5. Of course, we've seen Lauren piping in. When I talked about pricing estimates, he kept kind of going, nope, not close, got to go higher. So this is going to cost some serious coin right here. Now, Autel Nano, Lite, and Evo the third. Okay, and we're gonna talk about that interview that DroneDJ had with Maxwell Lee, the GM from Autel, in a minute here. But first of all, the Nano is out, the Evo Lite is out, and they're talking about an Evo 3 coming out. All right. Well, one of the things, and we'll get to Skydio here in a second. One of the things is you've evidenced. I'm sorry, it's been our heat's come on today because it's actually gotten cold enough to do that down here in Florida, and my throat is extremely dry tonight, so hence lots of water. All right, we know Marcus has had quite a few concerns with the Nano Plus that he has, and he's not the only one. There's been several others that have expressed some concerns with it. As far as the Jello and some other things that are hitting it, and for its price point, it's rather pricey. And we were hopeful of expecting something out of the box that with just charging the batteries, maybe a quick firmware update, it was good to go. And unfortunately, it's not the case. And as I'm talking to Marcus, it's like he has to cross his fingers every time he flies it. You probably saw in his latest one of his videos, he tried a number of user suggestions and none of them worked. So it's kind of back to square one with that. So that's kind of, that's kind of where he's at with this. Now, I'm still of the opinion here that I think Autel kind of rushed this, and I think the mini drones that came out in 2021 were rushed, and that includes the Hubsan Xeno Mini Pro, the Fimi Mini, and now this. But the Evo Lite has seen a little bit of modest success, but again, nobody was expecting anything about the Evo Lite this year. All the eyes were focused on the Nano and the Nano Plus, and the Evo Lite has kind of stolen the show, and in a good way. And our good friend Original Dobo Ken has given a pretty good review on the Lite. He's really up on it, and I'm interested to see what is when he revisits this here in a little bit to see what it's like for him. Now, the other one, of course, and we kind of talked about this a little bit last week, the Skydio 2 Plus, and really, they're adding on the antennas, which increase the range, and the new software on there, and that was their addition. There's Ron. How are you, sir?
Hello, Bill. How are you? And welcome everybody in the chat out there. How are you guys doing tonight? Talking about Skydio here, Bill?
Well, yeah, we're talking about the drones of 2022, and we just hit the Skydio 2 Plus, and we kind of hashed this over last week, Ron. They did with a firmware upgrade and being able to get that new feature that Skydio added, plus the battery being interchangeable. The only real benefit to getting a Plus was the additional range, so to speak. And as we saw in Billy's video, and Marcus brought up a good point, there really wasn't a lot of benefit. I mean, for that range for what we've seen.
Yeah, I think we kind of conclude that, if you do not have a Skydio now, that would be a nice purchase against the upgraded model. But probably if you already own a Skydio 2, you'd probably want to sit pat until the Skydio 3 comes out. That's kind of our conclusion, I think, Bill.
Yeah, I think so. And, and I think that's rightly so, because, I don't see that being of course, they're packaging it up and making it pretty nice and pricey and everything. And, but are they going to come out with a Skydio 3? I don't know. And that's one of the things that
yeah, I thought it was a good sign they even did this, because I was afraid Skydio may have given up on the consumer market and gone all in the enterprise market. So this kind of shows me that they still have interest in the consumer market. So to me, Bill, this is a good sign.
It is a good sign. That's a great point, Ron. And I wouldn't put it past them to see a Skydio 3. Because from the original Skydio to what it was now, it was night and day. From the Skydio 1, if you want to call it that, to the 2, it was complete whole change of everything on that. And, from 2 to 3, I don't see it being a quantum leap here. However, one of the things that I think we'll definitely see will definitely be like an increase or a definite controller that would, probably an integrated controller, hopefully like maybe a smart controller with a screen built in, and
like they have for their enterprise drones.
Mm-hmm. Maybe better communication system, better AI, better artificial intelligence, better tracking, those kind of things. So,
Bill, if the gloom and doom we have talked about over the past a year or two, with DJI facing the wrath of several big government organizations, most recently the FCC, say, for instance, DJI can no longer get any drones approved for release in the U.S., it would leave kind of the market kind of almost wide open. Would it behoove Skydio to jump right in with making camera drones to kind of fill that void? Because obviously they have they have a lot of great technology. I'm sure it wouldn't take a lot for them to because again we've seen enough of the Skydio, and I've owned it, whatever. It's not a camera drone. In this iteration, it's never going to be a camera drone,
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if DJI would struggle to release drones, would it behoove them even to make two different models, like one Skydio that's more of a Mavic, 3 type of clone, another one that's more of just a tracking avoidance drone, for us camera guys, if they made a model that wasn't quite as good as optical avoidance, but had better range, better camera, we wouldn't care. We'd buy that one, right?
Oh yeah, there wouldn't be a problem with that, and and it would kind of make sense if something like that does happen. The only thing I think where Skydio would probably fall short is manufacturing capability, because as you know, early on with the Skydio 2, these were all made by hand. They had not, it was very
In
laborious
California, yeah.
process out in California, which was good. And it's good that it's
Yeah.
made here
I
in
was
the
gonna
United
say, Bill, I
States.
would almost like kind of, if I knew the drone was being made in the US by US citizens, I'd almost have a little more patience with it coming.
Yeah, I would too. And I would think, if they could get enough capital to gear up to maybe have a decent manufacturing facility kind of a thing, then I think that would be, they could do something like that, and they could make a real inroads if DJI gets hung up. And I don't know if you saw my first segment or not, but hey, Kesteloo reported there was a drone that was flying over the wild card game down in Cincinnati.
They talked about Billy and Ken talked about that last night on Drone Nation, and I meant to look for the video today, but I never got around to doing it. Did you? You didn't show the
Yeah,
video?
I actually watched the video, and I looked at some of the. I mean, it wasn't long, but boy, I mean, he flew right over the top of the stadium, over the players, everything. The crowd went through, did a couple of pans. And the guy in the comment section, okay, he was having a field day in there. And I mean, and I saw Russ from 51 Drone says something about, be prepared for that knock on your door and some handcuffs. And the guy kind of like replied back like with a Clint Eastwood, make my day kind of stuff or something like that.
Oh, you mean the actual flyer responded like that?
Oh yeah.
You mean the guy put his own video up on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
yeah.
that is brazen, huh?
And the other thing is, last I checked, that's illegal from any which way you look at it. The Bengals prohibit it, the NFL prohibits it, and the FAA prohibits it. Okay, and the city of Cincinnati prohibits it. Well,
almost all athletic events of that type become automatically temporary flight restriction zones for the course of the game.
So it's illegal. So why is YouTube?
Was the guy a Part 107 pilot, or we don't know?
Don't know. So why does YouTube allow something like that? Okay, that's illegal. All right. YouTube has been very judicious in getting rid of questionable videos. Well,
yeah. Like for instance, if I played a video and I had 2 seconds of music in it, maybe somebody else's, that video will get ripped right down. But yet, you can go out and make a totally illegal flight, and YouTube doesn't care. They're in it for the money. You know what I mean? Like, they're more concerned about somebody having a few seconds of a song in there than they are somebody doing illegal flying activities. So,
and what else I talked about too was, this is going to lead to things like what we're seeing with the FCC with DJI, their scrutiny of the Chinese drone companies. Plus,
was it a DJI drone, Bill? Could you tell?
No, you couldn't tell. And, a couple of people in the chat were kind of guessing probably Autel because, it would have to have had an NFC.
Oh,
a no-fly zone kind of a thing. Or, it could have been an older DJI that somebody had maybe, had on Leachy and not on their system.
Yeah.
So it's
did you see the gel in the video? Maybe it was a Nano.
No jello in the video. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. But in line with that, you wonder why the FAA is imposing remote ID. And here's a prime example of that. All right,
this guy's going to get after they see this video, remote ID is going to get a fast tracked or whatever.
Yeah,
but really, even if they have remote ID, okay, they already know who did it because he posted the video and all that. I mean, and you said he did it quickly enough that even if they had remote ID, it would have been over by the time somebody drove over the stadium anyways, right?
Yeah, it was not a long video at all. So, it takes time for them to be able to get that, to find that even with remote ID. So
I guess it's going to be an ongoing story when the knock does come on the door, and could this actually lead to a real arrest or
I would hope.
Fine or
that would be great. It would be great if somebody would be there to record that so we could see that happen.
And, I know people, we're going to say, people are going to say, oh, well, he's hurting the whole drone industry or whatever. Yeah, he is. But you know what? Okay, if some fool goes out in the road and drives 100 miles per hour when the speed limit's 55 or whatever and gets arrested, nobody's going to say he's ruining it for all the other drivers.
Yeah.
Nobody says that. When somebody does a traffic violation, nobody says they're ruining it for all the other drivers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So why is there a double standard? Why, if you break drone laws, does it hurt all the drone flyers, but when you break automotive rules and regulations, it doesn't hurt anybody else? Well, why is there a double standard exist?
Yeah, that's Ron. You bring up a great question.
It was dangerous what he did there. If he would have left the statement, drove at 100 miles per hour down a crowded road, he would have been even more dangerous.
Yeah.
Or even if he did 50 to 25, he could have did more dangerous stuff driving his car home than he could have flying that drone around.
Oh yeah. Oh, I agree, Ron.
Yeah.
I agree.
And of course that you saw, I don't know if it's on YouTube, but I saw little snippets of videos where some cartels in Mexico were dropping bombs from drones on other cartels.
Yeah, I see that happening. Now,
I know they don't. I know our FFA doesn't have jurisdiction in like Juarez or anything.
Yeah. Now,
I don't think anybody has jurisdiction in Juarez.
No, probably not. Well, one of the things, and I'm going to post a link to it later in the week, but I'm actually going to be on a ham radio talk show on Saturday morning.
Oh wow!
Talking about drones and ham radio. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And how drones can be used in ham radio. Now, there are several ways. And one of them, and because I found 3 videos. One is a lot of guys put up a tower for their antenna, okay, like at least a 50-foot tower. Well, you can use the drone to inspect the tower, okay? There's one way, okay? One of the other ways that you can do, and I saw this, and somebody did it with a Mini, because there's no obstacle avoidance on it. He fashioned a just some cheesecloth, and he tied an antenna around it. Now it's what's called, just for an end-fed half-wave antenna, and that's probably one of the best antennas that you can use to do shortwave radio. And he flew it up 50 feet in the air, and he was able to get a signal from it. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Obviously, now that's great while he has he's only going to be up in the air 10 or 15 minutes. So that kind of limits his time with that. And the other way is somebody with a Phantom 3. What they did was, okay, instead of, they had a catch and release system, those ones where you can drop bait and that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, the guy used a Phantom 3 because it doesn't have the sensors like on a Phantom 4, and he got one of those bait release systems. But what he put on it was a weighted ball, and it had paracord on it. And he flew up over a tree, okay, and he flew onto the other side, and he did the release of the ball. Now, what happened was that the paracord was also had the antenna with it. It tied up to it. So on the other end, you pull the ball down, you pull the antenna up, and you have the antenna 50 feet up in the tree. Okay.
Oh, wow. Ingenious.
So, that's at least 3 that I found, and we're going to talk about that and just, some things about, what kind of drone, if you wanted to get one, your ham radio guy, what would be recommended. So I'll post a link for that later in the week, but I'm looking forward to this.
Good.
This guy and I have had some great conversations online, so I'm really looking forward to that.
Hey, unrelated to drones, but related to ham radio, I saw, the island Tonga, which, was kind of the center point for that, the aftershocks of the underwater volcano in the Pacific, because for a long time they had no communication except amateur ham radio people, because the whole island was out and it was shrouded in like dust and volcanic ash and stuff.
Well, what's been bad in 2021 was not a very good year. Solar eruptions, solar flares, it really messes with radio waves and radio signals. But it's going to be a better year already because of our position where the sun is and where the solar eruptions are and everything. So it's going to be a better year. So that'll mean better communication, especially what they call HF, or that's what we think of as short wave. So it's going to be better with that. The next thing I wanted to talk about tonight was Now, and I know I watched a little bit of your guys' show last night, and by the way, that having Ken and Billy on was just
Ken was just a bonus. He just came
oh
in off the cuff.
it's like Billy was just sitting there for like 15 minutes, just like listening to Ken. But DroneDJ talked about posted their article about their interview with Maxwell Lee.
That's Maxwell, yeah.
From Autel, and he was giving various points and everything in here and trying to understand it. Now, number one, you got to look. This guy probably, I'm going to guess, if he's pushing mid-30s, he's lucky. Okay.
And he looks a lot different. He has got a radical haircut since his last interview with Ken Herron.
Yes, it is a lot different. And and he mentioned a lot of good things in here. What he was talking about, but I think one of the things, and this is just, and this was conjecture after reading this article, and this was one of the things, and I kind of wanted to run it by you to see what you think here. Okay, now we all know what fate beheld Fimi in Hubsan with their mini drones. Okay, at least for Hubsan, their first iteration of it. It was. They were failures, all right, initially, and they're working on it. And we understand that, right?
As you always put in baseball parlance, they got sent back down to the. They tried to get in the majors, but they didn't stay long.
Right, they were not ready for prime time.
I think they sent them all the way down like the double A, maybe even single A, right?
Yeah, they may be in single A, where we were hoping that Autel with their Nano and Nano Plus was going to come out of the gate and say, here we are, a drone who, the manufacturer has had a good history with its hardware. It's worth waiting. Let's see what comes out.
Has a good reputation for camera quality too.
Right. Their cameras are good. They're reliable. You don't find the jello. You don't find, the micro shakes. You don't find it. Well, lo and behold, here comes the Nano and the Nano Plus. And unfortunately, and I'm going to say this, and I know Marcus says this a lot too, is, when you're chunking down, $799 for a drone, you want it out of the box, fire it up, put the, charge the batteries, charge the controller, put the SD card in, and basically, maybe one firmware update and go. All right. Well, something is going on when you're trying recommendations from your viewers who are, these are great recommendations that were sent to Marcus, and none of them were working. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be frustrating here, Ron, because, I like to try to give Autel the benefit of the doubt. Of course, I started out with an X-Star Premium, so I have a soft spot in my heart for Autel, and I want them in the worst possible way to succeed. But this Nano Plus here, it's having problems out of the gate here, and it really even hasn't been available to the masses yet.
Well, Ken addressed some of this last night. Well, first I want to say, I'm kind of a fan of Maxwell Lee too. I've seen him twice now, Ken Herron, in this interview, and I think he's a general manager that gets it. I mean, you hear a lot of these people talk that they don't really get it. They're just money men, or they're just somebody controlling the money. But this guy seems to really get it. But what Ken was telling us last night is he said, this drone should even be in the hands of us. Yeah, he said this drone, we'll get to all the Best Buys and BH Photos and Adiramas. But what happened is this is what Ken's telling us. He said that the Max's father is good friends with a guy that owns the Autel Pals. Remember, a lot of people thought Autel Pals was actually Autel's not. It's a third-party company, kind of just like Hubsan US. Somehow they got the permission to use the name, and this is Autel Pals got permission to use the name because the owners are friends. But anyhow, so Maxwell's father sent his buddy over to Autel Pals an early shipment of these drones over before they really should have been released.
Wow.
And and so we, basically people have like this kind of, beta firmware, maybe even beta units at this point. So that's unfortunate for people who ordered kind of not knowing this, that they weren't getting a fully finished product. And I'm just taking a guess now. We're already at the 18th of December. I mean, January, we got the Chinese New Year coming up for a couple weeks. Probably we really won't see these in our American outlets. You get Best Buy, Amazon, Adorama, Beach Food. We probably won't see them up for like maybe the end of February before they're really officially released. Because a lot of us, you and me, we would prefer to buy them from one of those outlets because we had any trouble. It would be easy to return and send it back. I'm done ordering from people like Autel Pallets or AliExpress or whatever, unless that thing can be in, a known company that we all know, Best Buy, Amazon, all the things I just said. If it's not there, it's not, to me, it's not a real project. It's just some kind of a test unit or beta unit or something like that, unless it's available from one of those reliable. Is that a good word, Bill? Reliable.
Yes, that's retailers? A very good word, Ron, and it's so well put. And thank you for sharing that from Ken. He is a fountain of great information. And with this whole thing, like with Autel pilots and with AliExpress and ordering from them. Okay, if you have an issue, all right, and they said, well, you need to send the drone back. Okay, you got to fill out that incredible amount of paperwork to send it back to China because it has to go through customs, and it's ridiculous. Or you get it at Adorama, you get it at Best Buy, you get it at B&H Photo. Just slap it back in a box, put the return label on it, and boom, call FedEx or UPS, and they come and they pick it up. I mean,
and Amazon has that great return thing where you just you don't have to even rebox it. You just take it to a UPS store and they scan a barcode to your phone or a QC code, and you're good.
You can take it to Kohl's too. They'll do it at Kohl's.
Yeah.
And what I've done with Amazon lately, I just print it out. And UPS will come and pick it up for free at your house. And I just put it in a box, put it out on my front porch. I have a nice alcove, can't be seen from the street. UPS guy comes, boom, picks it up, no problem.
Yeah. And the advantage of, one of the big companies, we'll say Best Buy having a drone, if all of a sudden it is just a beta, if it's a piece of, it's an unfinished product, and Best Buy's getting returns right and left, you know what I mean? Okay, if you and I call Autel and complain, maybe they'll, they may not answer the phone and they didn't do much for it. But when Best Buy calls up and they're angry because they got all these returns from customers, somebody's going to pick the phone up. Somebody's going to get an earful, Bill.
Mm-hmm. Somebody is going to get an earful. And, this kind of is a great segue into the next topic here. And, I told Marcus about this video and I told you about it too. And it was, our good friend Ken, Original Dobo, is selling his Mavic 3. Now, he did list, and I want to be fair to everybody, okay? I got to say this. You need to watch the whole video, number one, and you need to listen to the way Ken talks in this video, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe 3 years ago, he puts a video out like this. It's maybe clickbait, okay? This was not a clickbait video, okay? Ken is no longer considered a hobbyist. He hasn't been a hobbyist for a while. He's a professional, okay? And one of the reasons, his number one reason that he listed, okay, not in order, but it took a long time. It takes a long time to get a GPS lock, to get the right number of satellites before you can take.
I had the same issue.
I have too,
for me also.
I noticed that. The first 3 times that I took the Mavic 3 up, well, every time I've taken it up, it's taken at least 3 or 4 minutes to get that lock. Well, for you and me and Marcus and most other people, it's really inconsequential. But for somebody like Ken, it makes a difference because he's looking to get the right amount of sunlight coming in at a house at a certain time. And boom, here he is. The shot's all ready to go. Where's the drone? Oops, I don't have GPS. Okay. So that's an issue for him. The other thing that he talked about was he had lost transmission signal. All right. And he tested it he tested it both with a regular remote controller and with the new remote controller. Okay. The new smart controller. Okay. And both times. And he said, obviously, he flies line of sight. He was able to fly it back. he lost that FPV view.
He lost the feed, the video feed, but he did not lose control to the drone.
Right. And that's an important point to make. And and I get that, and I understand that. Now, what was the third one that he said?
Well, I'll mention too that I haven't seen a disconnection issue. As far as I can recall, I haven't had a disconnect yet. But his third issue was the crooked horizon.
The crooked horizon, yeah.
Which I do have. I mean, and it's usually easily correctable just by bringing a drone down, doing a gimbal calibration. But it is an issue.
Yeah, and I've noticed that, and I know that Ken on his first Mavic 3, he sent it back because it had his horizon tilt was pretty bad. And he said it's better on this one, but it's still there. And he's the kind of guy, because he's a professional, he needs to not have to monkey around. He has a hard enough job as it is. He doesn't need to have to go in there and have to monkey around with settings or run gimbal calibrations, every time he takes that drone up. He can't do that. But what I think what the best point that he raised during that entire video was, Ron, he said, I paid $2,000 for this drone. It needs to be right out of the box. I'm kind of paraphrasing Ken, but that's pretty much what he said. I agree 100% with him, okay? I parted, you parted, Marcus parted, all of us parted with $2,000 to get that drone, all right?
Right.
It needs to do everything it says it's going to do out of the box.
Now, of course, we did understand before we bought that we're going to be missing a lot of the advanced flying features, but nothing was said about these other issues. We weren't warned that I was going to have a crooked horizon, the world's slowest satellite gain, and disconnection issues. So these things go a lot beyond just not having the automatic drone built in there. And Bill, I just want to circle back a little bit on those lost satellites. A lot of people, with the Mavic 3, it takes so long to get satellites, and they take off without getting the 12 satellites. And then what happens is they get a GPS lock somewhere along their flight path or whatever to wherever that was, maybe 100 yards after they took off, instead of the GPS lock where they're standing. So when they do a return to home, it returns to where it got the lock. Now, if that lock's over water or a bad place to land, that could be an issue. So, I mean, I know, it's responsibility to wait until it says it's good to go. But also, I see why those people take off early, because they don't think they're ever going to get the 12 satellites. So it's a tough, it's a tough, what do you call it, conundrum.
In something like that, Ron, okay, I'm going to say this, having been around drones as long as we have been around them, okay, that's an easy software fix, okay? That's an easy firmware update to take care of, all right? And DJI doesn't, sometimes they get so bogged, and see, this is one of the things, I think, where companies like DJI get bogged down with changes or doing firmware updates, all right? They want to have a laundry list of things to be able to say, look, it'll handle all this kind of stuff. But you know what? I'm the kind of person, and let me give you a real life example, like at work. Okay, they do software patches all the time. I mean, they're running pretty much constantly, every day at work. All right, and and the idea of a patch is, it's to take care of an immediate problem right now, okay? That's what DJI needs to do with some of the more critical issues, okay? The additional features, okay, that's a whole different ballgame. But something like this that's serious, like the GPS lock, that needs to come out right away by itself. Get it out there, get it tested, and get it out in our hands. Because something like that, like you said, a lot of people are getting impatient. They're taking their drone up, and boom, if something happens, they're 3/4 of their flight down, and they are looking for that home. It's doing a return to home. Look out! It's not going to go where they're thinking it's going to go.
Drone guy mentions they could use a dynamic home point, to correct that. Now that is a good point he brings up. But Bill, a lot of people with this slow satellite, a lot of people are concerned that it's because DJI changed. They were using GLONASS GPS satellites for a long while. Now they switched. Well, I think they used 3 different ones, but they switched GLONASS off for another one that some people say don't have as many satellites up there, and that's maybe the cause of it. That again, this is all just theory, speculation. I'm saying here, there's no factual research to back what I just said there.
Yeah, you could be right, Ron. Because I think only people like DJI are privy to that kind of information.
And Marcus reports he doesn't have this issue, so that does play into
That's
maybe
interesting.
he's seeing different satellites than us East Coasters.
Yeah,
I mean, you and Ken are in Florida, and you see it, and I'm in New Jersey, but we're still basically on the same
like East
same
Coast,
parallel line. Yeah,
parallel
yeah,
line. Yeah.
yeah.
Marcus is out west, so he probably gets a different patch of satellites than we do. That's interesting. That is really interesting, and I hope they address it, and I hope it gets taken care of. But Ken actually raises a valid point with it. When you're paying $2,000 for this drone, all right, it's a hard pill to swallow. I mean, there are a lot of people who still haven't purchased it because of the price, and it's understandable. And it begs the question, and I've seen a lot of people raise this point recently. Why get a Mavic 3 when I can have an Air 2S do just about everything the Mavic 3 can do?
That's a good point, Bill.
It really is, because that Air 2S, I would be hard pressed to say, Ron, that since the Mavic 2, I don't think there's been a better drone out there that's come out, the consumer space.
I mean, top end. I mean, for the Mini 2 has been an incredible drone for the money.
Right,
for the money. And the Air 2S too has been a great drone for the money, for anything really. You can say for the money, for everything. Yeah, it really is hard to beat that drone especially in its price category. And as Marcus would say, if he's here, it punches a little bit above its weight class too, or whatever its price class. Yeah. But back to the Mavic 3. I mean, okay, we were promised a massive firmware update coming in January to add all the stuff that was on the side of the box. And we kind of got half that update before Christmas. But we still don't have the full banana. Like, you still don't have, Droney and Rocket and all that stuff. And it's all sorts of little stuff missing still from it. But I mean, I think you made a point that this. I'd rather see the bug fix come now than I would. I need a faster, GPS lock, and I need, no crooked horizon and no disconnection more than I need the droney or the rocket shot.
Exactly, Ron. And see, that's where that's where they get bogged down with this. Okay, and it kind of frustrates me to see I've spent my whole career in software and seeing how they're working the problem here. And that's not how you work a problem. Okay. You address those 3 issues. Okay. And if you have a fix, and what happens is, and what makes it it makes it more difficult. If you have a fix in for the GPS and you have a fix in for the other 2 issues,
crooked horizon disconnect.
Crooked horizon if you have a fix in for that, and then you add in, we're going to do droney and this and this and this and this. Okay. Imagine what that team has to go through in testing this now. Okay. Yeah. Because, I'm speaking of it from a testing standpoint, because that's what I do for a living. And, it complicates and it really muddies the water, and it takes longer to do that. Okay.
Exactly. Rather than save everything once, I'd rather see him put one firmware update a week and fixes one thing a week or whatever, rather than wait for the massive super update or whatever. So,
and there's a new Chinese ham radio that came out. Okay. It's called Xiegu X6100. And by the way, just for reference sake, and just to kind of, throw some nuggets of information out here. Okay. The Japanese make better ham radios than the Chinese do. Okay. The Japanese, there's a couple of brands, ICOM and Yaesu are the ham radios. The Chinese, one of them is Xiegu, and it's with an X. Okay. And they just put a brand new one out. Okay. And it's a small one. All right. It's about $600, and, it does a lot. But you know how many firmware updates there have been since it's come out, Ron, in December? There have been 5 firmware updates to this radio. Okay.
Yeah.
And, and see, this is the thing. Okay. And I'll give them some credit. they see the problems, they're going in there, they're addressing it, they're getting it taken care of. Why DJI is, not doing that, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
understand.
I mean, I say this all the time, but remember the heyday of Windows in the 90s. Remember Patch Tuesday? Every Tuesday, a whole bunch of patches would come out. It was almost like clockwork or whatever. And instead of waiting, for I don't know, some big super duper update to come out every 2 or 3 months or whatever, they just did it weekly, which actually was a smart idea, right? I mean, I know people complain, oh, I got to update again, but if you do small updates a few at a time, it's probably easier to test them, make sure they're working right, to try to put everything in one big update package.
Yes, that's so right, Ron, and that's one of the rules that no matter, almost every organization I've been with has done it. They'll address the critical needs, and then the nice to haves, we'll take care of that maybe a month down the road. Okay. And the things like the drone and the asteroid and those things are the nice to haves. Okay.
Yeah.
The other things like the GPS lock, those are must haves.
I'll give you a better example. Currently, whenever you see Apple get some vulnerability comes to the phone, the iPad, the computer, man, you read about it, and then a couple of days later, you look down your phone, and there's the update. All it does is fix the vulnerability, but that thing's out within days of the vulnerability being published.
You bet. Okay.
They don't wait months to put it in some big update. It's just, there it is. It's just a small update that only takes seconds to do, but it fixes some kind of vulnerability, which is one of the most important things we have with your devices nowadays.
Yeah, we had a security vulnerability the other day at work, and it got addressed immediately. Okay. It was just, and we had teams working around the clock to get it taken care of, and they did. And, even through the holidays, it gets taken care of. And that's one of the things you just need to do that. And that's something that DJI, I think, really does need to address. Right.
The poor guy that's working on drone, they don't take him off the drone feature, the work on the no lock and GPS. He just stays there trying to perfect the drone feature.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. And it won't surprise me. And I know we talked about this earlier, but I kind of wanted to run this by you. Okay. I think the Mini 3 is coming out sooner rather than later.
You think we're going to beat the April deadline?
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to come out a lot sooner. I think we'll see it probably late February, early March.
Well, Bill, let me run this scenario by you then. Okay, the Autel, the Nano shouldn't even be out now, whatever. Okay, so say they, we got Chinese New Year's come up. So say they don't really get everything fixed up until the late February, early March thing, and they finally arrive at the Best Buys. Well, what if DJI beats them to the market with a Mini 3 or whatever, and they still haven't got their act together on the Nano? What does that mean for the future of the Nano drone?
Well, one thing it's going to force Autel to do, it's going to force them into a price war. And, they're going to have to, $799, like I said, is a hard pill to swallow.
Ballpark the Mini 3 price, Bill.
Mini 3 price, I'm thinking at least $599.
We heard, I think we as Ken and Billy, I think we heard, 650, 7, but I think 600 was the first price somebody said.
Yeah.
Which I think that would be, I mean, I think we did a good job of bracing everybody for higher drone prices, even over the latter part of 2021 and 2022. So I think people will be able to swallow a $599 price point.
Yeah. And that's a non-fly more kit kind of price point.
Yeah.
Because with a price point and everything, it's going to go up. But and this is the thing that I've been trying to tell people. Okay, and I learned this when I majored in I had a double major in college, and one of them was business. And in my senior class, one of the things that we had to do was we had to run a business and it was run through an old computer. Okay. And our group came out, we actually did better than anybody else in the class. We got an A. And one of the things that we did, okay, was research and development. Okay. We invested money into the research and development, and our product was better and more well received by the public because we spent that time and that money and that effort. Okay. And, and it holds true today. When you spend that time and that effort, it bears out, and it will bear fruit. And here's the thing with DJI, and I've said this before, okay? Frank and I have talked about this, okay? They don't waste technology, okay? Things that have been on the Inspire 2 trickle down to everything else, okay? Things that have been on one camera system, are incorporated in another, okay? It's one of his things that he's done since he started the company. And that's why they are so good at what they do. And Apple's the same way, Ron.
Where do you think he got it from?
Yeah, they got it from Apple. I mean, our late friend, Mr. Steve Jobs.
If you're going to study a playbook, you might as well study the best one, right?
Yeah, he had the best playbook of all. And he made it. It was, I think he said something. He repeated that phrase. It was so simple, it was stupid, or something like that. And that's what companies need to do to be successful. And that's why DJI has done that. That's why Apple's been successful. And I think, with the Mavic 3 here, I kind of think they kind of had their hand forced a little bit here. And I think they probably kicked it out a little sooner than they wanted to be honest with you.
And actually, both the Mini 1 and Mini 2 have been extremely successful drones, but this one will actually be released. I mean, basically the Mini 3 the Mini series is basically a spring summer type of drone or whatever. Mm-hmm. It's not, you get out and fly in the middle of a big windstorm or freeze types. So finally they've been releasing the drone right before the worst winter weather for most of the U.S. outside of Florida and some of the southern states, where now they're going to release it in a time period where people are going to buy it just as the weather's warming up, the big wind gusts are dying down, the trees, everything's getting green. I mean, it'd be the perfect time to go grab yourself a Mini 3 if you're coming from maybe no drone at all. You're coming from some kind of a cheap $100 drone or something.
Exactly. Well, and a lot of people, and just as you mentioned the weather, and that's a good thing. We had a temperature drop here. The heat came on last night. It was the first time the heat's come on this year. And no, it's actually the second time. The other thing was on Sunday morning, we had tornado warnings, and down south of us, down around Fort Myers, where you and Susan went, they had a couple of EF1 tornadoes. There was quite a bit of damage and a lot of video of it. It was a water spout that actually made it onto land, and it pretty much destroyed a mobile home park. I don't think anybody got killed. I'm not 100% sure, but there was a lot of damage from that. And we've had high winds the past several days. And I tell people up north, when you guys are getting bad weather, don't think it's always sunshine and blue skies down here, okay? Because our temperatures today struggled, and I mean struggled, to get to 60 degrees.
I had the honor of being on Captain Ray Kelly's show yesterday. I said, Ray, what's the weather in Florida? He kind of he said 69 or whatever. But he said it's going up, and he told a little bit about the Tampa problems too. But no, I know what you're talking about, Bill. You lived up north. When that Canadian high comes in, I mean, it comes, we'll say this is PA here, it'll come in, dip way low, and come back around again. I mean, a lot of the southern states, more north of you, the South Carolinas and Georgias, they really they get a bit of PA weather for a day or two.
Oh yeah, because I have a friend who I graduated with from high school who lives in Georgia, and he said it's the first time his SUV's gotten snowed on. He posted a picture of it. So
of course, I talked to you because you know what I mean when I say PA weather.
Oh yeah, and it was, oh my gosh. Well, my one friend.
Speaking of PA's out of the NFL playoffs now.
Yeah, both of them, and
we're all gone.
Well, and this was funny. Somebody had pointed out that the Steelers changed their defensive scheme, early in the second quarter. And then it was just a blitzkrieg after that. It was bad. It was really
what did they change it to? We're not gonna cover anybody, or
they went to more of a open zone, and it was horrible. Mahomes just ripped them apart. He ripped them apart. And their tight end for Kansas City, I mean, he's like Gronkowski. Okay, you can't bring him
Oh
down.
yeah.
Yeah. So
I thought Tampa Bay laid the game plan how to beat Mahomes and the Chiefs. Just put the pressure on Mahomes. Don't let him stand back there and get the deep passes because he gets frustrated if he's got to dump the ball off short.
yeah, and that's what I think it's going to be a repeat. I think it's going to be Kansas City and Tampa in the Super Bowl again this year. I know a lot of people are picking Green Bay. I think they're one and done. I think they're a flash in the pan.
Oh wow.
I don't think they're
And they are a tricky situation. They're playing one of the hottest teams in the league this week, the 49ers.
49ers.
They just beat the Cowboys and Rams back to back. Two rosters that are loaded with Pro Bowl players.
Oh yeah, so that's going to be a very good game. I'm going to be watching it. Well, I'm rooting for Tampa Bay now. Okay, everybody goes like, "Oh, you're a Tom Brady fan now." I said, "He's not with New England anymore." Of course, I'm a fan of his now.
and our good friend Original Dobo was in attendance with the Tampa Bay game last Sunday.
That's what I heard. That was awesome.
And Billy was in attendance of the Buffalo Bills game.
Really?
He was up that area for work, and he said you could get tickets for only $30. It'd be bleacher seats.
Oh wow!
You remember bleacher seats from the
I sure days. Do. Oh yeah.
But of course, Billy battled a little bit colder temperatures than Ken did.
Yeah, that was a little on the cold side up there.
And Buffalo, you got to watch Buffalo in the playoffs too. They were very impressive.
They put a lot of points on the board against New England here. So Ron, what are you, closing thoughts for tonight?
It's just frustrating that we can't talk about the new drones and say, man, these things are successes. Everything's gone well. They're a pleasure fly. It's a shame we're here talking about the Nano having problems, the Mavic 3 having problems. Like you said, why can't we just get a drone that comes out of the box ready to go? It's just kind of frustrating times. We talked about Giant Drone Flyer getting a little Nano Plus last week on the show. Well, the poor guy put a video up yesterday. It was jello like it was some kind of a toy drone I flew 3-4 years ago. We felt so bad for Giant Drone Flyer. He really had high hopes and loved the way that drone flew. But I mean, he put about a minute or two video, and the jello wobble was. Again, I don't know what to say. I felt my heart went out to him, Bill.
Yeah. I'm just, I feel the same way. And I saw that and I was like, wow.
That's what almost $1,000 gets you, Bill.
Well, you and I, we talked about it and, I came to the same conclusion that you did. I'm just going to sit back and take a look here and see what goes on with all of this, because I was thinking about getting a Fimi and everything, and I'm just gonna what? I'm gonna pull back here, and probably the next drone I'm gonna get is probably gonna be the Mini 3. Okay,
right. And I don't need a whole bunch of other drones in, because if that thing's what we think it is, I'll be flying that all over the place, Bill.
Oh yeah, and and see, the thing is, and a lot of people, and this is what and you brought up a good point about being a fair weather drone, all right? And it's very true. The mini drones are fair weather drones. They're not winter drones, folks. Okay, they're not meant to withstand a lot of wind. They're not meant to withstand a lot of cold, the extremes. They're just not built for it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like the Mavic 3, we talked about it goes down to 14 degrees and wind. I've never seen a drone perform like you could talk bad about the Mavic 3, but in wind, it's a killer up there in the wind. It spanks the other drones in the wind.
Yeah, it does a great. DJI did do their homework with that.
Or the Nano, the poor Nano, it can't fly across the park without getting pushed around by the wind.
Yeah, and that's one thing people need to realize, and that's what because I'll get a lot of questions. What kind of drone should I get? And I tell them, where do you live? That's the first question I ask. Because if you live like where I do, well, that's a different ball game versus if you live up north. It's a complete because my son-in-law was thinking about getting a Mini, and I told him, I said, Andy, don't think about it. Okay. I said, I know they're great drones, but where you live in Ohio, okay, it's windy year round up.
Is he near the river or the lake or whatever?
He lives north of Columbus, my son-in-law and daughter. And it just, and there's a lot of it's a lot of open farmland out
So it's
around.
kind of like PA. The wind could blow there for months and not stop.
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I said, you know what, you'd be much better. Now what he wants to do is he wants to get a drone that will work with him. He's a hunter. He's an avid hunter. He wants to get a drone that's going to work with him when he's hunting. And and I kept telling him, I says, you know what, you need to probably look at probably our drone of the year candidate. If you're thinking about that kind of a drone, because it's not as big as as a full size Mavic. It's not as small as a Mini, but you can take that with you very easily. That's one of the things. And he's strongly considering something.
Right, and it deploys quickly since it gets satellites real quick, because in hunting, the animals could be gone by the time the Mavic 3 decides to take off.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's one of the things too. I want to close up by saying, I want to thank everybody for their thoughts and prayers for my father-in-law. From what I'm hearing right now, they're getting very close to making a decision to put him in hospice. And it's hard because, when you've gone through it before, I've gone through it with both my parents, and now Valerie's going through it with her dad. It's not an easy thing here. And I appreciate all you guys and how you're hanging in there. And, and also
Bill, last minute before you close here, I see we got Drones View Media in the chat here. He's been in the hospital recently. He had a bout with the COVID. So I want to send my thoughts and prayers out to Drone Views Media also.
Yes, Drone Views. I hope you're doing well. Thank you,
and Lloyd, the grumpy vlogger, who's still down and out with the with the COVID. He didn't do a show last night.
Yeah, Lloyd, I hope you're doing well and getting on the mend here. And that's one of the things, treasure every day. Tell your loved ones that you love them. We're not promised tomorrow. Enjoy your day and enjoy what we do. Have fun with it. Those are my takeaways for everybody. So, and one of the other things I want to mention too is one of the things we've been spending. Valerie's been spending a lot of time with her folks. And conversely, I've been having to pick up a lot of things around the house. So that's why you haven't seen me do probably more than just our live stream on Tuesday nights, because I simply have not had the time to get out and fly in and put videos together. So I want to thank you all for your patience regarding that. They will be coming soon. I do promise that. So everything else, guys, have a great rest of your week. And as always, remember, it's a great day to fly. Take care, everybody.
Fly safe.